coming at you live in person. Neither one of those things, actually, fully recorded and totally remote, to another episode of Beyond Dimensional. We are your hosts. I'm Liz.
I'm Lori.
And we are welcoming our guest, Krissy Colasonno. She is a channeler who brings through messages from spirit guides to enlighten her clients and help heal from beyond space and time. She holds workshops to help clients discover their galactic lineage and tap into their starseed origins. And what does that mean? And how can we harness the powers of the known and unknown universe? Well, maybe Krissy can help us with that. Thank you so much for being here, Krissy. We are very excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and to talk to both of you about this. This is an exciting time that we all live in. And so the more people that get to hear about these esoteric things and these galactic experiences, the more enlightened we all become.
Absolutely. The understanding of galactic lineage and starseed origins, it feels so beyond dimensional, but truly, like, it feels so far away from the normal understandings of what we've come to know as humans, as earthlings. I'm fascinated. Even if behind my eyes, I might be going like, oh, okay, sure. But you're here to set the record straight, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we are spiritual beings having physical experiences. But where were we before we started having this physical experience? What were we doing as a soul floating around? Well, we were experiencing other places. So a lot of us have been in different playgrounds, call it, been in different star systems, been in different types of incarnations. Maybe some of us haven't. Like, my mom is a new soul, right? That's cool. But like, this is her first time playing around. And so we're all here to experience something different, to help our soul evolve and to become something more, and just to literally find our way back to source. And so a lot of us have had these lifetimes that really bring through different energies. And the interesting part about how our spiritual body works is that it also holds the memory from those lifetimes. We have etheric DNA, the junk DNA, they call it, of all of that other information that's held within our genome that isn't fully expressed right now, is currently coming online. And that's where some of these memories stored within us, stored within our etheric DNA, is coming online. And we're all starting to feel this urge, looking at the stars or feeling like you don't belong. What else is there? There's more to this. And so this workshop in particular that I'm doing at the end of April is about feeling the energy. So I'm a channeler. So what I'll be doing with my friend Rebecca is we'll both be channeling these different energies, messages from the councils in Arcturus, in the Pleiades, and a few other really prominent starseed lineages that we see as we're doing readings. And so we'll be bringing that energy through so that the people in the workshop can actually tap into it. Does this feel familiar to me? Because it's surprising. The first time I experienced anything like it, I was like, oh my God, that feels like home. What is that? Like, I had no clue. So yeah, it's an interesting process, but the idea of feeling something familiar and like having it activate something within you. Maybe you get tingles in your head. Maybe you get like that running feeling up your spine, or like just like this expansion in your heart space, because it's like almost a memory coming online.
So Chrissy, just to start at the very beginning. I'm super excited about talking about all of these things, right? Because they're new. I'm a medium. I talk to people about their past lives. I talk to people about karma. I talk to people about connecting with their loved ones. I don't get messages about their past lives being alien. Not today. I've had Akashic Records readings. No one's ever mentioned to me anything about, you also had a time in such and such planet, right? So for a lot of us, this is all completely new. Liz and I have been walking around going, okay, Galactic Federation of Light, what in the hell is that? I definitely need to understand that. So there's so much here. So before we dig into it and really help the audience like grasp the concept. I guarantee it's new for most everyone, which is what makes it so fun, right? How did you get started? Like, where did you begin? Tell us your story, and then we want to dig into all of the details, and then what you do in the workshops, because this is so much amazing information.
Amazing. Okay, so I'll try to shorten it a little bit. So I just woke up recently, right? I like 2 years ago. So it's been a process, but from the beginning, I used to have nightmares, hallucinations with like when I was a kid, people in my room. I used to see them with my people eyes, right? It was very alarming, really wild. I always felt like I was abducted by aliens. Like I got to a certain point where I stopped like trying to convince people about it.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
Yeah.
okay, everyone just thinks I'm weird, so I'm
Yeah.
just going to shut this down. And so
Yeah.
it just kept being a shut it down. Um, Fast forward teenage years into like the 20s, I just self medicated with alcohol, whatever I could, to turn everything off because weird things would happen. I would say something and then all of a sudden it would pop up, or like just these wild instances. And it was a lot. And between not be, like the sleep was challenging. Um, so fast forward to my 30s, I have 2 kids, bad marriage. Things are weird. Things are hard. I'm sober for 7 years, and the walls start like moving around me. Like, whoa, whoa.
Like
Um,
literally.
Literally, like I feel them, like I see them, like moving with my human eyes. Um, I'm seeing like it looks like orbs and spots and glitter all around my vision all the time. Not like an or at first I'm like I'm having a seizure or I'm having a migraine or this or that. I'm going to
Mhm.
neurologist. I'm like, what's going on? I go to the eye doctor all the time because I'm like I've got this like blur in my vision. What is that blur? Like like it pops up randomly and um I'm seeing spots in the sky. No clue what it all is. And basically I was being like shaken awake. Like, are you waking up? Yeah, right. Because what was happening to me, I know now looking back, is I was anchoring in a lot of energy, cosmic, earth, whatever you call it, just source energy was starting to flow through me. And because I wasn't awake and because I was unbalanced in my chakra system, it was causing a little bit of, we'll call it spiritual psychosis without knowing it was spiritual, right? Because
Yeah.
it was there was just so much going on. Um, And so in that, I was also having problems at night where I was astral projecting and then coming back into my body and thinking I had died because I didn't understand the process. Or I had been in a life experiencing something. And then in that time, maybe my family or something happened, or like I was in a war and like everyone was getting shot. All of these things were happening. And when I'd come back into my body, that image and that experience was still layered on top of my perception.
Mm.
So when I explain it, it sounds like I'm hallucinating in my room, but I'm really pulling back, and my multidimensional self is experiencing these two realities on top of each other. So it was challenging. Uh,
Like a timeline crash.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
when we're sleeping, we are going out, we leave our body, and
Yeah.
a lot of us do work. A lot of us are doing things. Um, a lot of us work on healing the earth. We're psychopomps. We help people cross over to the other side. We help energies to find their way home. We go have meetings with the Galactic Federation.
Ah,
we do.
and we care
We
about
just
that.
do stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so then in that, um, w- I went on medication. I went on SSRI to kind of help calm things down because everything, I'd had sleep studies, I had all of these things, and I couldn't stop it. So between the SSRI and divorce, clear.
Yeah.
I was good. I got back to
Cruising.
baseline, right? Yeah, right. Check, check, check. Good. Um, and uh, about 6 months later, I had weaned off the medication because I didn't need to be on it anymore. I had gotten to the point where my brain chemistry had regulated, everything felt stable, and I didn't want to be on it anymore. because I just felt like I had gained my stability. I can do this. And with a therapist and, the doctor, I weaned off. And I'm glad I did, because in that process, I had my first real experience with my grandmother. And I was realizing I could feel energy flowing through me. It was like 90-degree day and I was getting chills. And I'm like, why am I getting chills? And then I realized it's happening with my thoughts, right? And then I get to the point where every time it's a yes, I get these full body chills. And it was incredible. Um,
So these were like symbols or connections to spirit, connections to messages were coming through physically for you. And that was
yes.
how your intuition leveled up, so to speak.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I had also been receiving these physical things. I'd had tingling and actual literal vibration in my limbs before, where it was like, you Google it, Parkinson's. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
33. How do I have
Oh,
Parkinson's, right?
yeah.
On all of this stuff. And it's terrifying when you search Google. And at that point, I hadn't known that I was connecting, that I was receiving information in any other way. I didn't know how to decipher it. It was loud and noisy and painful. I'd gotten shingles multiple times because my body was like freaking out from all the energy and the stress on top of it, of
Yeah.
what was going on in my life. So, yes, so I was receiving energy in my physical body before and after. And that's how I really realized what was going on. Um,
Mm.
and in that process, I was like, "Mom, this is the coolest thing in the world." And she was like, "Oh my God, it's happening to me too." Right?
Your
So
mom?
my mom and I were going through these awakenings
Oh,
at the same time.
yeah.
What?
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And hers was a little different, but it made it very powerful for us to both be experiencing these magnificent changes within our own spiritual aspects together. Because there's a lot of things we do in life, and sometimes we have the support of our parents, and sometimes we don't. And had she not gone through the awakening, she probably would have been like, "You're too weird." Right? Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing, channeling alien? You can't do that. You have kids.
That's a rated R thing. We got to go back. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
Oh
that's
my
just so funny. But imagine, like, that's so nice for you to know that you had this support, because so many people don't. And, or they just have someone that's just like, oh, that's my strange daughter. But like, and some people just are like, we're not on the same, you're like, we're not talking to you anymore. Like, we don't believe the same things. And can be very divisive.
Yeah.
I can speak from experience. My mom and I are the weirdos. She had everything first, then me. So at least there's another weirdo in the family. My brother's like, oh God, these two, whatever. And my daughter also has her own, set of gifts. So it's definitely nice to not be alone in the family.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
Yes, it's so true. Yeah, so I was really lucky to have her in it. And from that point forward, I just was like, any class I could take, I was taking shamanism, Reiki, uh, psychopop, whatever I could get my hands on. I was trying to learn what was happening and because I knew that I was supposed to do something. I
mm,
landed in a school for psychics. I did that, and in that the process, I was like experiencing a lot of still the same physical sensations. As the energy would flow through me more, I would kind of get almost, I would get like muscle spasms. I would be kind of writhing in pain, physical pain from the energy flowing through as they were trying to push through and like send messages out from my mouth. And so it was this learning process of figuring out how to harness and hold that energy within me so that I could speak, because I wasn't reading like a typical reader who is, connecting out here and then like being present within their own body and like
Mhm.
communicating. It was everything was always trying to speak through me. And I had always had this sense of urgency after I woke up that you waited too long, like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, like the time is now, you need to go. um, So in that, I found out I was a channeler, uh, worked with a mentor, just channeled. First started channeling demons at the beginning because they are very there's a lot of personality there that really comes through. It was very easy for them, like that energy to come in, and I was very protected as well, so it left, right? So it was this combination of working together with it and being able to feel safe in that type of environment.
To
But
clarify, Chrissy, just to
yeah,
clarify for everyone, because we talk about channeling. I channel, but it's totally different than what you're talking about. When you're channeling, they're literally speaking through you. Like for me, it's they come in and will speak through me, but I'm still there. My voice doesn't change. There's no other physical difference. Is it for you a change in you physically? Do you sound different? Are your mannerisms different? They're channeling as if you were them. Does that make sense?
correct. Yep, they're
Yeah.
coming through
Okay.
and you're receiving their personality,
Got
their
it.
mannerisms,
Got it.
all of that energy.
Okay.
The more I've been able to practice this and hold bigger energies in, the
Yeah.
less obvious it is. But it used to be like slipping on a suit kind of thing. Like it was, you talk about possession, like it was I
Got it.
basically like
Got it. Yeah.
it's an energy flowing into me and like using my body as their vessel
Got it. Yep.
to communicate. So yes,
And that's how everything that you connect with uses your body in that same manner. So you don't have multiple ways that you connect, or do certain entities have different ways that you get messages?
that's a great question. So as Lori said too about her channeling, channeling is a spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody channels. Every single person and their mother and their child channels. Everybody. So it's a matter of how you do it. For me to receive when I'm doing a reading, or if I'm um, channeling a message from the Galactic Federation or a different council, I'm allowing them to come through me fully and deliver the message. I can still channel like Lori channels, where I'm talking, conversing, receiving the information, deciding what I want to pull in, and then saying it as myself. So I can channel in the different ways and on all the way on that spectrum. There are some people now who go, I'm conscious when I channel. So I can connect dots for people when I come back. If I feel that somebody's confused, I can direct it, or I can pop out and make a very pertinent point and say, like, as this is coming through, this is what I'm seeing. So connecting dots. There are people who go further down that spectrum and are in trance. So Edgar Casey was, the sleeping prophet because he was in trance when he was doing that. And so he didn't remember anything that he said. A lot of the big channelers are in trance when they are in that state of communicating this information, because for a lot of people, before, I'm going to say, I'm being given like this, the between the 70s and the 80s, that's when people started to kind of transition out of like not needing to go into such deep trance. Their physical bodies were different because of the energy that we're born into. So people like now, 90s, anyone born in the 2000s, like slip into trance, like not trance, slip into like channel like that. That's why you have such gifted children coming out now.
Yeah.
The energy is just ripe for their physical bodies to be able to hold and receive this beautiful energy from source that allows them to translate it here so easily, like it's just who they are. That's it. It's just so
I have so
easy.
many questions about this. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Okay, I'm trying to piece together things, and it sounds like generationally, as humans have advanced and the age of information has kind of been revealed, technology and all the ways that we're able to spread information, understand it, alter it, transform it, has allowed for our vessels to be more easily and flexibly influenced because almost like the more belief is there, so we're more open to that possibility. That's
Yeah,
my understanding
absolutely.
when
Yeah,
okay.
that is part of it. That is part of it. That's that collective consciousness
Yeah.
expansion and enlightenment of the collective consciousness. There is also the physical changes that happen and are
Mhm.
happening right now with what we call New Earth and this expansion that everybody is currently experiencing in terms of our physical bodies.
Yeah.
Ascension isn't just the mind, it's also the physical body. We have anchored in more, we'll call it light. We're becoming less dense. And since from about like 1999 to 2012, there were a couple of transitions, the Grand Cross and I think the Grand Square, something like that, that completed. And in that, we shifted into fourth density. We have altered our physical bodies with this astrological shift that has happened. So it's wild to think about how these things change our physical body. But as the electromagnetic grid of the earth is shifting because of these astrological alignments, our energetic systems are also shifting and
That
changing,
makes sense.
right? Yeah. So when the earth grumbles, like your auric field, your energy gets thrown off kilter, and then you start to develop pain. You start to develop these issues, these colds, because you're clearing stuff. You can't take anything with you when you ascend, right? You can't
Mhm.
take all the garbage that we've accumulated from the lifetime, like in our cells. Like we hold trauma in our cells. I'm sorry, I'm just blabbing.
Nope.
this is
No,
like
this is
this is
fascinating.
like this is part of what I do with transference healing too, is to help bring balance back into the body,
Mm.
realigning the body's electromagnetic grids lines of force, and to create and ease the systems into this new earth that we are all going into. Yeah, so it's both that collective consciousness, like you were saying, and the physical changes that we're also all going under.
But
So
I'm
oh,
sorry.
good.
I was just
Go
going to close the loop on that. I imagine
ahead.
they're happening simultaneously for the reasons that it needs to. Like the collective consciousness is also happening because of the alignments and the shift in our own energies. And that's how we're allowing for it. Because I know that there's a lot of people who, when you say collective consciousness, they go, like, whatever, blah, blah. Like sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. Enjoy your life. Anyway. um, so I wanted to know, because you said your mother was going through it. I can't leave that untouched. What did she have a trigger, and did you guys like acknowledge the fact that like, hey mom, I was talking about this when I was a kid and no one acknowledged me and I had to like go into my own path of ignorance with it, and then like what happened with her that triggered it, and what do you feel like, how did you guys get there?
Yeah, she lost both of her parents, went through a divorce, went within all of these things. Then
Right.
she lost her cat, right? And her
Oh.
losing that connection kind of was like, oh my, painful, right? That was her companion for 14 years. And so the sadness, a lot of times people's spiritual gifts come online when they experience trauma. And so for her, she had always had a very intuitive sense, right? Um, very deeply connected to like what was happening and how people were feeling, but that also gave her a lot of anxiety. So she didn't talk about any of it. So I think that the pain of the loss is what really helped her to start opening up to having these experiences more and to really feel into it. Um, you know, I don't blame anybody for it, not knowing what to say to me about the um the dreams and the things that I was experiencing, but I also know that I'm here to do that for my kids, to tell them like, yes, there is somebody in your room, like, and like, let's get them out and like show them how to like
Yeah.
clear the space, right? And and validate their feelings. I mean, yes, my dad showed up in my bedroom every time I said there was a spider on my ceiling and like got the vacuum. I'm like, get the vacuum, it was so big, it was the size of my
Yeah.
you know, like, and so they would entertain it to an extent, but it was also like, it's just nothing. Like, so being able to give my kids an opportunity to explore these things with curiosity versus like, is helping them close this loop. And like her being part of that, I think, is healing what she wasn't able to give me, right?
Yeah.
For her too, because none of us knew at that time. Nobody,
Sure.
like, if
Yeah.
if Lori, you were so lucky to have your mom who was already connected to these things too, and like had the gifts and could explain to you the things that were going on. And like it was with your daughter. Well, if did she do that for you? I don't know.
No, no, no. My mom hated it, and so she never talked to me about it until 6, 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So she doesn't want anything to do with any of her gifts. She wants them to go away. Oh my God. My mom, like I said, totally disconnected. Still is like she's doing better because I'm like really open about it now. But I just thought I was crazy. I literally spent until I was 40 years old thinking something was really wrong with me, medication, all the stuff, right? Like I'm just losing my mind. And then finally my mom decides to tell me, well, it's kind of what happens. I'm like, are you kidding? You've let me go through this my whole life. So luckily, I guess my daughter doesn't have to experience that because I'm so open about it and we talk about it and whatever. But for you, yeah, I mean, if your kids are lucky because if there's no education, I think I'm much older than you guys. I'm an old lady, but so my mom's 70, I'm almost 50. You think about when my mom was a kid, you really didn't talk about seeing things like that's not you're going to go to the psych ward, right?
Right.
um so anyway, yeah, back to um uh, curious, do your kids see and hear and experience things?
Yes, they
Yeah,
do.
yeah, all
Yeah,
kids do, but I mean, I guess that they're talking about it with you and being able
yeah.
to be open about it, that's really important.
Yeah, my son had this experience once where it was last summer and we're at the park. It's just before dusk, right? And I'm watching these like Sasquatch, right, go back and forth between these trees. And it with my third eye, right, with my mind's eye, and I'm seeing them go back and forth. And he runs up to me, he's like, "Mommy, the Rat King's here." And I was like, "What do you mean, buddy?" And he's like, "Right there," and like turns around and is pointing to exactly where I'm looking. And I'm like, "Okay, bud, you know what? They are there, and it's okay. They're not going to do anything to you. That's it's a story from camp, like of like don't run away or the Rat King will get you, basically,
Yeah.
Oh
right?"
my gosh.
So I'm like, they're fine. They're protectors. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And we go home, and I'm like, "Oh man, they followed us home. They're in the front yard." And he goes, "Mommy, they're right there. He's at the front again." And like,
Oh my
it's
god.
wild.
Did
So
you
yeah,
see them at your
yeah,
house?
yeah, yes, yeah. Because I noticed like, oh, they're in the front yard. Like, huh?
Oh,
Like,
oh, got
why?
it.
What are you guys doing here? And like, why
Yeah.
are you
Like,
here?
come on,
And
guys.
like, cut me some slack.
Yeah.
Let's just have fun, please.
Like,
And
stay over there.
yeah, yeah,
So wild.
yeah. And basically, they just want to be like talked to, right? They
Yeah.
wanted me to like connect to them
Yeah.
and to and once I did that, then they were like, okay, cool, like we're good, like, and they like left. But yeah, so my son sees, my daughter feels energy. Um, so she's more like how I was for a long time, and feeling that. So it's been a lot of working with her on how to not feel uncomfortable because when we start getting in touch with like different energies, especially things that are a more cosmic or galactic energy, it can really actually affect the physical body when you feel the energy. It can
Mhm.
be like heart pain or like a stomach contraction, gurgling and stuff like that. So it's hard because here we are in this house where like I'm surrounded by stuff all the time, and then my kids are experiencing it, and they're like it's hard. They chose the path of having me as their mother, who they knew was going to be surrounded by this stuff all the time, so that they could experience that ascension early on and be connected to that energy. So it's like this catch 22 of like, I don't want them to be uncomfortable, but like
Yeah.
I have to teach them how to deal with it. And so that's kind of been trial by fire too, with how do you like I want to do it different. I don't want to screw my kids up, but like how do I do that?
In
Yeah.
general, how do we not fuck up our kids?
Yeah.
Right. And then let's add the added layer of all of the other things going on, the things that are not normal,
Yeah.
typical, as open as we say we are. I mean, it's a whole other world when you start talking about seeing alien beings. It's one thing to say, I see dead people. Okay. It's
Yeah.
another thing when people like, wait, rat, what?
Yeah.
Bigfoots? What?
Yeah.
What? Hold on. Your whole family's nuts, right? You
Yeah,
have to think about that,
100%.
right?
Yeah, I was just thinking about like Chrissy telling her son, like, oh, yeah, that's okay. He's there and he's cool. And then your son going back to camp and being like, I saw the Rat King. He's fine. He's just protecting us. And then
Yeah,
all the other kids being like, okay, sure. And then the kids going to their parents and being like,
exactly.
well, Chrissy's
Exactly.
kid is, he sees him.
Yeah,
How come I don't see him, mom? And then they go to like, hey, Chrissy, can you just not like, can you not give in to this whole thing? Cause I want to make sure that my kids don't, right? Like there's this whole other level to it where like your kids aren't going to be able to come over to like other kids are going to want to go to your house because they're like, Chrissy's like a witch or you know what I mean? Like she's
Yeah.
I don't know, like my kids always come back with like weird ideas about whatever. She's telling them where their star seeds from, and they're coming back feeling like, oh, they want to go like whatever, right?
Yeah, I'm
this is
like,
Chris.
listen, the trolls and the gnomes like it when you pee in the woods. Like, just go, like, just go. Ask
It's
the tree first.
fertilizing.
Ask the tree first. That's okay.
Give it
Yeah,
a hug.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
it's definitely, I'm sure, a lot with my niece. My brother's thinks, I'm a little too fries short of a happy meal, but my niece is also psychic. It's on the feminine line. She's also Sag Moon like me. There's definitely a lot of stuff there. But me even trying to talk to her about what she sees, I'm like trying to tread so lightly and carefully because, Auntie Witch told her, my aunt is witch and she talks to dead people. And oh, geez, Louise.
Yeah.
So,
It's a hard line to like walk and navigate and to figure out how do we do this. And part of it is like, I don't care. The other
yeah,
part is
real.
like my ex-husband's mother was going around saying, "Isn't that
Yeah.
satanic what she's doing?" And
So, here we go.
I'm
It's
like, you
always
know
got to be
what?
religion. Jesus, the demons have to be involved.
Yeah.
Satan.
And so it took a lot for me to start to feel comfortable. And like for instance, I had to feel like I'm leaving my job, my daytime job.
Yeah,
I was a data analyst and I'm like, I can do this full time. And
good for
so
you.
I am in the process of leaving. But in that
Congrats.
I had to talk to him and be like, so I'm doing this thing. And like he doesn't fully know what I do. He does
Yeah.
not fully know what I do.
Because
But
he doesn't want to know. Let's just be
he doesn't
honest.
want
He
to
would
know.
know if he, yeah.
That he doesn't want to know. He doesn't. He's like, whatever. Like, I just don't. He doesn't care. He doesn't like. Is that's fine.
Sure.
Cool. No big deal. If
Nice.
the kids are happy, we've got this thing. We're good. We're great co-parents.
Good.
Um,
Yeah, that's
if the
nice.
kids are happy, we're good. That's good. As long as the kids are taken care of, like it's good. So, but yeah, in that, it's like learning to not care what other people think.
Yeah.
Understanding that what you are doing is important and it resonates with other people. Like you, both of you coming out and talking about these things, bringing different people on, exposing them to different viewpoints and different ways of thinking about the world. That is so important because it's expansive. So, and it resonates. It
Yeah.
resonates with people and it opens them up. And that's huge. It's something that trailblazers like you guys are making a difference, right? You're making people feel more comfortable talking about it. Like, oh man, and you plant seeds. Like, oh, okay, then now I can talk about maybe I could talk about this with someone else. And like you test the water then, and then you test the
Yeah.
water. And so,
Yeah.
yes, there are people who will contract when they hear my name. I'm sure. But there are others who are like, oh my God, like you are the light. Like, thank you for bringing such light into this world.
Yeah.
So it's
You
where
gotta
you put
focus
your
on those
focus.
people. Yeah, those
That's it.
because you can only do what you can do, right? And we used to ask people, how do you deal with the naysayers and how do you deal with the critics? At the end of the day, they're not our problem. And I had
Yep.
to really work on that because I was so self-conscious about it. And it's like, if you don't believe it, that's great. believe what you want to believe. You believe in, Jesus. I think that's a joke, but you do your thing and I'll do mine.
Mhm.
Like we all have our own way of handling things, and we can only, deal with what's given to us, and we
Yeah.
help those that we can.
Exactly. And the funny thing, you say Jesus, I'm like, I believe in Jesus now more that I'm in this thing where I'm channeling galactic. I believe in that energy more than I did when I was Catholic, right? Because
Yeah.
when you're Catholic and you're in that religion, like I just thought you just wanted money. Like, don't you
Yeah.
just want money? Isn't that it? Like,
Yeah.
isn't that what the church is?
Jesus, how you're taught in church versus Jesus, the concept and the ideology and how it's supposed to be in action are very different things. That's why I say it's
Exactly.
religion I can't stand. It's not the concepts that fall
Mhm.
underneath of it. It's the organized religion and how we're taught to, hate certain groups of people.
Yeah.
But again, I
Yes.
don't have to talk about that on every podcast. And I yet somehow I do. Anyway,
Well,
so
but it becomes relevant because a lot of us we come from backgrounds where it's been like we're trying to shift the mindset for ourselves and the next generation, right? I mean, for
yeah,
like when you guys were just talking about that you really can only help the people who are willing to see. It's not necessarily your job to force it on others, which is how
right.
ironically how religion takes care of a lot of religions, a lot, not all of them, proselytize and try to pull people over, right? But for every 4 or 5 or 6 parents that are like, you know there's probably 1 or 2 that are like, thank you, thank you, thank you, I haven't known how to talk to my kid about this and they keep seeing stuff and I don't know what to tell them. Or
Yeah,
I've
totally.
always felt weird and now you're saying that that's something I can be okay with. Like maybe I should come have tea at your house. Like there's still so much good to be done in this space. And so it's all relevant.
Exactly. Yeah. I have a workshop coming up too in May on that same thing. It's like, so you're spiritual and you're a parent. Like this
Yeah.
idea of like, how do you blend those two things together?
Hmm.
And how do you teach your kids? How do you do it in a compassionate way? How, like, where you're not throwing stones at one side or the other. Like, it's just everyone is here experiencing something, and whatever you're experiencing at that time is exactly what you need at that time. That is your medicine basically at that time. Like,
Yeah.
and so it's all part of your process and your own internal growth. And so yeah, it's because it's a journey. It's a journey. And when you bring kids into it, it's really a journey.
The journey continues.
Yeah,
1,000%.
yeah.
Okay, you mentioned that you first started channeling demons.
Yeah.
When did it switch from demons to other beings?
So in that time, so I worked with a mentor who helped me connect. The first couple of times we did it, it was demons because that energy was just like I was surrounded by darkness at that time. It was heavy, and it just like it literally um the first guy that I ever met was like felt like a black cloud, and it
Wow.
felt right. And so it was this it but they were there, and they were caring. It was a caring,
Yep.
loving thing, right? A lot of times we have this misconception that demons are all there to like hurt us and to harm us. A lot of times they're there to protect us from ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And to keep us like, are you safe? What are you doing? What are you doing? Keep you on the rails, keep you on track.
Yeah.
Don't go too far, Missy. And so that's so yeah, so it started as that, and then really shortly after, like in that, I was still channeling spirit guides and other beings in that. I was having experiences where then they would start to come to me, right? And I would see them with my physical eyes. I would see lines uh, and be able to kind of distinguish based on the light pattern that I was seeing what they were. Were they Arcturian? Were they a gray? Were they, Assyrian? And I determine how it was based on like how tall the line was. We can talk about that too, about like this idea of like coming into this dimensional space, which is mind blowing.
Yeah,
Like,
you're saying things where I'm like, I'm holding back right now, but damn, every word out of her mouth, I have a question about. Like,
good, go for it, do it. No,
no, I want you to finish your thought.
I don't even remember what I was saying, but it was the idea of channeling these other beings, it kind of all happened at the same time, right? It was all coming together at the same time. Demons were the easiest for me to hold the energy of, where then and we're calling them demons. They're all different. It's they're just interdimensional beings that are more of a darker aspect, right? Some of them are reptilian. Some of them are more angelic beings that have a darker side to them. So that like, some of them are dragons. Like it's just an energy, right? And so
Sorry, okay. Did you have to educate yourself before to understand what they were? Or did you educate yourself once you were in it and went, okay, this is what I'm seeing or feeling or hearing or whatever. Let me go find out from, the books and the mentor and the guides what it is? Or were they like, hey, I'm a demon. Nice to meet you.
it
Like,
was, yeah, it was. I started with this intuitive knowing that I was being surrounded by demons. I'm like, what is all this stuff? I'm like, do you know? And so, but in it, there was this process of just self discovery of what was going on outside of me. It's always like I'm always a student. I accept that. I am always a student. I'm always learning from people. I'm always learning from teachers, from other people online, from podcasts, whatever it is. So to answer your question, like I was learning as I was doing it, more so, and as I was learning, then it became like, oh, now like connecting dots and being able to like connect, oh, that's what that energy is, and that's why it feels that way. I understand. And so getting in touch with that helped me to by researching the questions and figuring out like sometimes I didn't know the answer. I didn't know what question to ask.
yeah, sure.
I had no clue what to Google. Right?
Yeah.
Like
Chat
how do you
GPT. What do
like
I
yeah,
ask about this?
yeah, right? And
1000%.
that's yeah, so part of it was just this exploratory process of trying to figure things out. Yeah. But in that, yeah, I started talking to councils, um, channeling higher dimensional sources, channeling source itself. Like it's a very different range of energies that would start to come through. So it was wild. It's been a
And then,
process.
yeah. So then, as you're going through and you're learning, and I imagine it's just, is each time you sit down to channel it just starting to like the line begins to widen, like the net that you have starts to grow because you've just been in practice. And so it's almost like, not to say like beginner, intermediate, advanced, professional, expert, mastery, but like you just start to allow for the question to exist and it just starts to widen the net. And then how did you know once you got to the level you're in that was your like, this is where I'm supposed to live. This is right here, my pocket. And yeah, what was that exploration? And then and again, like so many questions on, a lot of people have the same story and they're using the same verbiage. They're using the same names for things like, and you're saying that you're learning as you go. So, as you're trying to develop, were you hearing things that you heard from others and you started to piece it together? Or like how does everyone now have this collective consciousness? If I go to some place in India or China and they talk to me about enlightenment and the Galactic Federation, how are we all speaking the same language?
Because we are all receiving the same message. The energy that comes through is the same message. We translate it differently, right? So I can I like to think of it as like these blocks that we receive this downloaded information of, and like it goes boop into my head, and my head translates it into this like silly, like verbose, roundabout thing, right?
Yeah.
Whereas maybe it goes into your head, Liz, and it's like direct, to the point, and like very precise. And Lori gets it, and it's got this tinge of humor and looking at it from this higher perspective and also like the lower perspective, like kind of a different view completely. Three people receive the same download. Maybe we picked up on the same word, right? Maybe it was talking about unity, and each of us said the word unity, but we each translated it slightly differently from our own perspectives. So in that, it's important to keep in mind how we all get the same energy, but interpret it differently. With that, I received information and names, and I'm like, I would get a name that I like was channeling somebody, and I'm like, who is this? And like Google it afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And then see who it was and be like, oh, this is somebody that other people have Googled. Ashtar, who was Ashtar? And like Google it, and Commander Ashtar. No way. Like this is somebody other people talk about. So there are things that come up like that too, where it's mind blowing. And I had a friend who told me, because I was like, I think I'm just crazy. I must just be crazy with all of this. And she's like, so you're telling me you think everybody in this world that is connected to this stuff, that is talking to like all of these Egyptian deities and connecting to that and teaching the tablets and X, Y to Z, you're telling me that all of those people who are receiving the same information you're receiving are all crazy? How did they get that information?
I love that you've said, and I think this is so important. So I want to make sure nobody misses this. We all get the same information and translate it differently, because if we didn't, we wouldn't reach everyone. There's so many different languages, right? And so many different ways each of us receives and understands. So maybe you have the message and I don't understand it the way that you explain it, because we're not on the same wavelength, for lack of a better word. But Liz had the same message and says it somewhat differently in the way that Liz communicates. And I go, oh, I get it. And if you're completely crazy, you heard me translate it and you're like, yes, I can track that ADHD brain. I'm tracking what she has to say. Like, we all have different communications. We all speak different languages. It might be English, but it's a different dialect, right?
Mhm.
To me, that's so important. It seems so simple and like obvious, but it's not, because you get people who will say, oh, they're saying something different. Are they? Really, if you analyze what was said, the core concepts really mean the same thing. They're just communicating it in their own way, the way that they specifically communicate.
Absolutely. That's it. Spot
Yeah.
on.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love
That's why
that.
we,
It's
that's why we
important.
follow so many different people with saying the same things. Like you can follow multiple hilarious cat video accounts, and every single one, the cats are probably doing the same shit, but every time you see it, you're just like, oh, I just like, it's a new part of me that's like reinvigorated. Like getting the same messaging different ways allows your brain to expand its ideas of what it's doing and to keep reiterating and like growing with the same concepts. If you hear it once one time, it's not always going to hit.
Yep.
You have to
Yep.
have repetition in order for your brain to fully wrap itself around ideas.
Yep. And
Yeah,
think
and
of how
that's
brilliant that is, right? Like, having all all of us who can connect, and I don't connect in the same way that you do, but having those same names, those same experiences, the similar patterns. I mean, that's a brilliant way to make sure we eventually get it, because at the end of the day, you can only say it's bullshit for so long when so many people who have never met each other in different periods of time, in different generations, have similar experiences or similar messages,
Mhm.
right? I love
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Um, I think, we now's a good time to put everyone on hold and make them come back, because we have to talk about the Galactic Federation of Light. It has been my sole mission the last 8 months to find somebody who can tell me what the hell it
Yes.
is, because I'm fascinated by it and I keep hearing everywhere I go, the Galactic Federation, the Galactic Federation. Okay, I must understand and get info about this. So,
Mhm.
part
Yes.
two.
It's coming up. All right, Chrissy, thank you so much for part one. Guys, hold on to your seats. Come back. Listen. We're going to be here wearing the same clothes. Too bad. That's how we're doing it. Deal with it. All right. See you next time.